Well, welcome everybody today to today's Martech CMO breakfast. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jeff Perkins. I am the CMO of QA Symphony. We're a software testing company here in Atlanta, and we're very lucky today to have two special guests. Everybody knows the man, Sangram Vajre. So Sangram's the CMO here of Terminus, also co-founder, formerly one of the leading marketers at Pardot. And Sangram's also now a best-selling author. So very excited to have Sangram here. And our guest from out of town is the man, Scott Brinker. Scott is the co-founder and CTO of Ion Interactive, and many also know Scott as the leading mind of marketing technology. And of course, everyone should follow Scott at Chief Martech on Twitter and at Sangram Vajre on Twitter for you. So let's start with you, Scott. So tell us about why you wrote a book, the process for writing the book, and kind of how you feel now that the book is out and published.
Wow. Okay, so the last question first. Relieved. So hacking marketing. As you mentioned, my blog, chiefmartech.com, for about 8 years, I've really been looking at the intersection of marketing and technology. And what's always been exciting to me is not so much the technology itself, although lots of cool technology, particularly in the ABM space these days, right? But really how, as technology has infiltrated marketing, this actually is changing the sorts of activities that marketing does. It's changing the way we think about managing marketing, the culture of marketing. What seems to be happening is as more and more software invades marketing, marketing is starting to take on more and more of the characteristics of managing a software environment. Which is kind of odd because, most marketers did not start out life thinking, oh yeah, it's a toss-up for me between software development and marketing. But today, a lot of the activities that marketers do have these dynamics of software development. So I wrote Hacking Marketing to basically give marketers an introduction to management concepts and frameworks from the software world that I think are now very relevant to what they're trying to do in marketing.
Great. It's so interesting. Gartner is quoted as saying, I think in 2020, marketing departments will actually outspend IT departments on technology, right? So talk a little bit about the skill set of this kind of new breed of the marketing technologist, because like you said, it's not a traditional brand marketer, right? It's someone who has to be able to kind of work between software development and the marketing world. I mean, what kind of person fits in that role?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So first let me disclaim, I don't believe everyone in marketing needs to be a technologist, just like not everyone in marketing needs to be a great graphic designer or a great copywriter. You are still very much looking at a team that is trying to leverage different strengths. It's just now a lot of these technology talents and skills have to be a part of that team as well. So I classically always expected that the people who would be great for these roles are people who come from a software background, a web development background, in some cases even an IT background, who have that technology experience and, typically like an engineering degree or something like that, but they get very passionate about the application of those skills in marketing. And as marketing has evolved from being more than, what classically was thought of as, they're the ones who do the ads, to something where now marketing really is the champion of these customer experiences and these digital touch points. It's actually very exciting work for a lot of people who have that software background. So that's sort of, to me, the classic vision of a marketing technologist. But as I've been running the Martech conference for a few years here now, I'm amazed. I would say almost half of the attendees come from the other direction, that their background is in marketing, but they just get fascinated by these technologies and they dive in and they self-teach themselves. And so I think marketing technologists can come from either side.
Great. So Sangram, you also have a new book, Account-Based Marketing for Dummies. So how'd you come up with that title?
I did come up with the account-based marketing. The other one was given two of it. But I feel like in the whole process, I realized I am the dummy. right? Because it's a fascinating concept. It's kind of coming up in many different ways. It's been there for a long period of time. I think sales has always been doing account-based selling in B2B, but it has never kind of had its lights on it for people to kind of realize that this is super important. And through the process, I realized that there are like a lot more people way smarter than me actually know a whole lot more. And the book was just almost a way to kind of talk to like 50 plus influencers in the whole marketing, technology, and sales, and customer advocacy, and all these spaces, and say, you know what is the best way to do this part of the whole kind of flip funnel, as I like to think about it. And the book just was a kind of result of all that. So it really helped to kind of put a book that has never been talked about, the topic that has been there for years but hasn't really kind of talked about in terms of how marketing can take care of it, or sales or customer success. And account-based marketing for B2B seems like the must-have. So it's great to kind of write a book on it.
So what do you have to do to get people's attention and to get really to break through the MarTech clutter?
Flip funnels. I think that has really been the way to do it. So I think there's definitely a lot of noise. And I think the marketing, I feel like just a little bit of story to kind of have some context here is, I think every 5 years there's some evolution in marketing. And I love to kind of get your thoughts on it. I feel like 2000 was the year where email kind of came in and everybody was like, man, I can spam people. That's freaking awesome, right? So email really started to get out there and people really started to push a ton of emails out. And then I think in 2005, people started to realize that, wait a minute, we're sending all these emails, we need to capture these leads from some way. So marketing automation came to life. And with marketing automation and email and content marketing, I think fast forward 5 years, in 2010, that's when predictive came to life, right? Because at that point where everybody was like, wait a minute, I'm getting too many leads, but I don't know which leads to focus on. And now predictive was like, well, wait a minute, I can help you with that. So predictive was born. And in 5 years, fast forward again, 2015, now you get account-based marketing, which is like, all right, in last 15 years, I still hasn't changed how I market because I'm still emailing everyone. That hasn't changed. The technology has changed. The way people are sending content or putting content out there has changed, but the communication channels hasn't really changed, hasn't really kind of progressed. And I think account-based marketing is at the point where you're really trying to tackle multiple different things. One is you got so many more people in the buying process. How do I get my message in front of all of them? And most people just don't do it when it comes to lead-based marketing. And the second part is that how do I engage people on their terms? And that's where I think how do you break through the noise? So I think account-based marketing is just almost like the answer to people crying out there saying, hey, we need a way to kind of consolidate these things, and I want to kind of figure out. So for a company like ours, as a startup, what we started to do was bring in almost all players in the whole ABM space and say, let's just put events together, let's just create content together, and let's just kind of, rising tide kind of lift all boats kind of idea, and started this conference called Flip My Funnel, really to kind of bring the right kind of people together, and it really has been the best thing we have ever done. So we have no idea how many leads we get. We have no idea how many, kind of emails we send, but it's more about how many accounts are we engaging and are these the right accounts we want to go after? Mm-hmm. And that has fundamentally changed the way we look at sales and marketing.
So, how do you view ABM in the context of the MarTech world?
Yeah, that's a great question because, to me, one of the things, there's two things happening here with ABM, right? There's certainly a set of technologies, Terminus, it's one that's really, we're designed from the ground up to really take advantage of this new capability. But, as you've seen with Flip My Funnel, as much of this isn't a technology play, it is sort of an organizational shift in thinking.
Yep.
And to me, I think that's one of the reasons why you have this challenge now of like, every company on the MarTech landscape raises their hand and says, we do account-based marketing too.
Wait a minute.
And in some way, that's true because, really this is, if you look at it as an organizational change in how you're approaching the collaboration of sales and marketing to win business, basically everything you start doing, you begin aligning through that account-based lens. But I think it is particularly exciting to say, okay, well, a lot of these technologies, they weren't originally architected with that world in mind. And so, some of them you have to, sort of squeeze and fit a little bit harder than others, and I think this, new generation that you see that really was designed with these objectives in mind from the start are helping to push the practice forward. So it's very exciting.
And what should every marketer that's here, that's watching this video, be checking out now? Maybe not buying, but checking out and be very familiar with, because you think it might be the next big thing in marketing technology.
Ironically, I'm sort of technology agnostic. To me, it is the more exciting thing are actually those challenges of, okay, how do you pick the right technologies to really have a particular company break through? So that's a bit of a dodge, but I will say there is an area in the marketing technology space that is fascinating. I think if you talk about these waves of 5-year waves, if I were to take a guess what the next wave will be 5 years from now, I think the state of where things are going with artificial intelligence and machine learning have hit a tipping point where they're starting to be able to take on missions that people never imagined a computer would do. I mean, things actually around generating creative, the right creative, optimizing it. And in some ways, so this is very exciting. To the degree this actually happens, right? It will thoroughly disrupt marketing far more than anything else we've ever seen before. That's frightening. But
another book.
the good thing coming out of that is the problem you said earlier in your question of how do you deal with all these technologies? Okay, great, the technology is now figured out. I have not 2 segments, but I have 50 segments. How do I craft different messages and campaigns? It is not humanly possible to take advantage of what all of the technology now makes possible. And I think to the degree that we're able to see machine learning and artificial intelligence, even if it's simply an assist to marketers, and marketers retained for at least hopefully a while, right? That human control over the very top of it, that it will augment marketing's ability to operate at the scale that the rest of the technology makes possible. So hopefully this craziness that we're wrestling with right now, where our responsibilities seem to just get bigger and bigger and bigger every month, hopefully something will start to give us a hand in getting through that.
Sangram, why don't you prognosticate as well? What do you see out there in the MarTech landscape as a practitioner and as someone who sells marketing technology? What do you see beyond your category? Maybe that
beyond my category.
Your
There's
category,
ABM.
your
What
category
else
is very exciting.
I think this is the end of the road. This is terminus, right? This is it. I'll go back to the same part as I think I'll almost take the opposite viewpoint than what Scott is taking here, with all due respect, is that there is too much technology. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to find not more technology, but actually the rise of product marketing in marketing technology in the whole space, because that's the most thankless group of all marketing. Nobody talks about them, right? They talk about marketing technologists, they talk about graphic designers, writers and stuff. Nobody really talks about product marketing. And you think about what the role or job of them is, the art of, again, storytelling and things, right? So I feel like there's going to be more and more technology, yes, but where I think real disruption is going to happen is the way the communication is going to start happening. And I think there's going to be a big rise of kind of saying that, well, we don't need the technology, what we have is enough. What we need is a lot more of how we get this message out, how do we break through the noise, and for that, technology is going to add more noise, as opposed to humans, I think, have to kind of rise again in some ways and really kind of figure out how are you going to make the right message go out there in the right context. And the context is going to be really, really important. So I feel like there is going to be more technology for sure, but there's going to be a rise of more real marketing. I think most marketers like me are kind of hacked into it, just happen to be there, but then real marketers are going to come back from the Mad Men era and really start thinking and looking at things in a different way, and that's going to be really, really exciting.
Great.